He chuckled softly. "Tell me about this ex of yours. What's his name?" His tone was more serious than before. And with that, my anxiety started flooding through me. Dane sat eating his burger, patiently waiting for me to answer him. I convinced myself that there was no way he could know Kane, so it didn't matter. So I met him at the diner I worked at. I already knew of him. He's the town's playboy. At first he was nice. Well, when it was just him and me anyway. We dated for about 2 months. He was my first boyfriend. I paused, thinking about Kane. Honestly, he was my first everything. I cleared my throat, deciding what to say next. Once I finally decided to give myself completely to him is when everything changed. One time. That's all it was, one time. I felt a tear slip down my face. I regret ever giving Kane even a second of my time. I looked at Dane as I wiped my face, pulling myself back together. He told me after that he was a werewolf, and if anyone found out that, I knew I would be in danger. I wanted to believe that he was mentally unstable, but I saw his eyes change, and I swear he growled. I watched Dane, waiting for him to start laughing, but then again, he said he's an alpha. "Why are you scared of him? Did he hit you?" Dane questioned. His whole body seemed to tense, and when he looked up, I saw his eyes swirl with a light grey. He didn't hit me. I mean, he got a little rough when I told him I was pregnant. Of course, at first, he tried to deny it was his. I scoffed at the memories. I might be many things, but a whore wasn't one of them. "What happened after that?" Dane questioned further. I could tell he was trying to hide his anger from me. I didn't want to talk about Kane anymore, so I stood and grabbed my phone, unlocking it quickly and opening my text messages. After setting my dishes in the sink, I handed the phone to Dane and walked into the living room. I sat on the couch, snuggling into the blankets, and waited for Dane to come back in there. Finally, Dane came and sat next to me, handing me my phone back. I could feel the anger rolling off him in waves. "I wasn't trying to make you mad," I said quietly. "I don't want you having any contact with him. If he calls or messages you again, let me talk to him," Dane said through gritted teeth. "So, dear Dane wouldn't tell me anything about you, but he did ask that I help explain some things to you." I looked at Dane in surprise. He had kept his promise not to tell anyone. He winked at me with a smile on his face. "How much do you know about werewolves?" his mother continued, not paying any attention to her son. "Well, ma'am, I just recently found out that werewolves are real, and I'm pregnant by one. And I keep hearing the word mate a lot, it seems." I was honest with her, but I didn't open up to her as I had with Dane. "Please call me Adria, dear. Where have you heard the word mate from?" she asked me. I laughed, nervously. The first time I heard it was from my ex. Evidently, I'm not his mate, so I can't have his baby. And then Dane has told me a few times that I am his mate and I have nothing to worry about. His mother smiled at her son with understanding on her face. "Well, dear, a mate is our other half. It is someone who the moon goddess has made just for us. It's kind of like humans say they found their soulmate, except a mate truly is. Mates will make each other feel whole, and they will make them stronger. A werewolf knows a person is their mate instantly. Humans who have mated with werewolves will have signs, but they won't know right away. And that's understandable. They usually have never heard of mates before." She explained it to me. "So you knew I was your mate when you saw me in the diner?" I asked, looking at Dane. He just nodded his head. "But I didn't know you were human. You have the scent of a werewolf, though it is faint." I looked down at my plate, trying to process what I had just learned. I have so many questions right now. "So, what are some of the signs humans have?" I asked curiously. "Oh, there are many, but the most obvious ones are the tingles or shocks when your mate touches you, and they have a way of calming you with just their presence." My eyes widened at her response. "Do you have either of these with Alpha Dane?" I looked at Dane, who seemed a little nervous about my response. "Yes, actually, I do," I answered her, never taking my eyes off Dane. A huge smile spread across his face as his eyes bore into me. Adria sighed, smiling. "I'm so happy for you all." She stood from the table. "I have some things I need to get done, but dear Dane will answer the rest of your questions. If there's anything you'd like to talk to me about, just tell him, and he will call me." She made her way around the table and gave me a quick hug before doing the same to Dane. "So, we're mates?" I asked him again once I heard the front door shut. Dane stood and reached out a hand to me to help me up. "Yes, we're mates." He led us back to the couch and sat down. I sat next to him with my legs folded. He gently rested his hand on my knee as he watched me intently. "Does that mean I can't ever leave here?" Hurt flashed through his eyes. "No, that's not what I mean. I will never force you to stay here or be with me. You can reject me, he trailed off, worry settling on his brows. What happens if I do that? I'm not saying that I'm rejecting you. I'm just trying to understand, I clarified. If it's done before mating and marking, then the wolf will survive, though they tend to be a little temperamental, and it does weaken the wolf. If it's done after the pair has mated and marked each other, then the chances of surviving aren't very likely. I just ask that you give me a fair chance before you decide if you want to reject me. Give me a chance to prove to you that I'm worthy. Dane looked at me pleadingly. It doesn't bother you that I'm pregnant by another man? Another werewolf? He shook his head. No, it doesn't matter to me. If you decide to stay with me, I will raise it as my own. I would like to give us a chance. I stayed cuddled up against him, not ready to lose the warmth and safety he provided me. His hand gently rubbed my arm. You have no idea how happy I am to hear that. I started to doze off in his arms before the loud ringing of my phone interrupted our quiet time. I groaned as I stood and retrieved it from the bedroom. Kane Shelton. I stood frozen in place as I watched the name flash across the screen of my phone. Why is he still calling me? What the hell could he possibly want from me anymore? My phone lit up, notifying me I had a new voicemail. I hadn't even realized Dane had walked up behind me until I felt his arms wrapping around me, startling me out of my thoughts. Who was it? He asked deeply. Kane. The name slipped out before I could stop it. I could feel him tense around me and waited for his reaction. What did he want? The $1,000,000 question. I shrugged as anxiety started to build deep in my gut. I put it on the speakerphone as I listened to the voicemail. Holly, it's me. Where the fuck are you? No one has seen you. Did you get that taken care of? I don't know why you're trying so hard to ruin my fucking life, but I do know if you don't call me back, I promise when I find you, I'll make sure you regret it. Stop being a fucking bitch. Just as Kane was hanging up, you could hear someone in the background talking to him. Alpha, I think that horse skipped town. I didn't realize I was shaking. He won't do shit, Dane growled behind me. He laughed a little. I didn't realize you were talking about that, Kane. Dane took my phone and tossed it on the bed. I'll handle it, babe. Don't worry about anything. Come on, let's go for a walk.